Hey everybody, I'm Lex.
I'm Shane.
He is.
It's been a while.
The Shane.
It's been a while, man.
It has. It's Q&A today.
It's good to be here. PDQ A, yeah.
That's right.
Basically ask questions, throw down. I think we've got quite a few in the queue, is that right?
Okay.
All right. Well,
should we hit
let's
it?
go down.
I was warming up my hands like I'd be able to do something.
Like you're not indoors right now?
Yeah.
Dear Shane and Lex, just got PDQ Inventory recently and love the way pre-built collection information. Is there a way I can scope the entire collection library and its related results to specific collections I have built instead of using all computers? Thanks, /Q.
Hey, Slash.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome. Glad you love it. Okay, so one of the limitations that we have, the answer is you can get what you want, but one of the limitations we have is that this is not a pejorative, we kind of have to build the things that are out there, default or in the library, kind of for the lowest common denominator. For example, there's some packages in the package library that are highly customizable, and we've had customers say, I really need to have this package do this, this, or this, but it varies so widely that we kind of have to do a catch-all. So when it comes to the collection library, it's fairly simple, although a little extra work on your part. If you want to show the screen here, JJ, you can go to the collection library, and let's say that you are interested in this the Chrome Enterprise, for example. You can click that top level. Now, when you copy a collection that has sub-collections, it will copy all of the subsequent sub-collections. But you can simply do a copy and a paste, or even a duplicate.
That's my personal favorite.
You like duplicate?
I do.
So when you duplicate, let's just do a filter here. Chrome. You'll see Chrome Enterprise. Now, once it leaves the collection library, it's now up to you. Now
it's yours, and you can alter it.
Yeah, you can alter it at this point. You can't alter the collection library, but if you're still using, for example, we have our system variables. Remember, there's two types of variables. There's your, go ahead and show that. So the system variables begin with a $sign. Those are the ones that we here at PDQ modify. So you can, in your own collections, which this is now one of your own, it's customizable, it's still using the system collection. So as we change those values, in this case, like this, app for Google Chrome Enterprise variable, as we change that and your console refreshes by default every 2 hours, it's going to grab that new value. But you can't. So if you want to use those variables that we have, that's fine. You don't have to change it. Otherwise, you can define your own. If you want to
custom variables, yeah.
Go over here to variables under the options menu. So there's the custom. Here's our system. You can see they're grayed out.
And they start with a $sign.
$sign. Any custom variable would begin with an @ Now you don't have to type in the @ but you could just type in, like, let's take a look at what is the Chrome. It is by the way, here's a little cheat. It is 73. Try to remember that.
73.
0.
Yeah, I'm not going to get past the 0, dude. 73.0.
All right.
I'm not. I'm just telling you.
Somebody remember that.
Somebody better than me remember it.
Anyway, so we can go over here to options and variables. We'll use a little cheat sheet right there.
I like that.
Go to custom, and you can just type in, my latest Chrome. This is if you maintain a version of Chrome that's not the latest one, or you have like a 1 month lag or something like that. Notice I just hit tab, and it automatically formatted that with the @ is that's
designated, variable designated.
That means that this is a custom variable that you have, and you change it. We don't ever modify those. And then it's 73.0.3683, and then maybe you don't want. We'll just say .1. Then by doing that, you can reference just that variable in here by changing this from the $sign to the at my latest Chrome.
The other great thing about
this, and then it works. But otherwise, in this case, you would, if you want to do it by, go ahead.
I'm just going to say you can actually select it from your custom variables, so you don't have to type if you type like me.
All right, gotcha.
So,
yeah, there's at my latest Chrome. Thank you. But if you want to do this by collections, notice we've got the any. This is interesting because you've got the any and the all and the all. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to throw you're going to want to throw somewhere in here a collection filter. So you could, let's see how we do this. We could say,
Let's get rid of one of them. Just do it off one. Make it
yeah, the
significantly
three
easier.
part is kind of, yeah, it's kind of obsolete anymore. But we'll just do that. So we could actually change this to an all. So all of these have to, and then we're going to add a new filter. I'm going to move this up. It's not impressive. The sequence is kind of the hierarchy is fairly important. But here you're going to go ahead, or in computer you could say, oh, pardon me. It's a in computer member.
collections,
It's
yeah.
a member local group or
In
local
the
collection. Go
computer
ahead.
table, you can use the collection field, and then that'll point to a specific collection. If you do member of collection table, it'll be like a name search.
Yeah, but this is if he's wanting to do like a specific organization or something like that. So what were you suggesting, Colby? In computer, just do collection.
Yeah, that'll point to a specific collection by ID, whereas
Is
member
member-
of collection, it's going to be like searching for a name.
name,
So
okay.
you can match multiple collections that way, but
So let's say you're only interested in Windows 7 for this one. You could just select Windows 7, and then guess what? Your new collection shows that not only does it have to any of these members have to be in the Workstations Windows 7 collection, then they also have this latest
Chrome and the
version of
version of Chrome. Yep.
So that's kind of a way you can do it. But as far as the collection library, the answer is no. I went through all those machinations to show you that there's a way you can do it, but not natively with the collection library.
Now, there are a couple, like you say, Colby, there's a couple different ways you can skin that one. So.
Okay.
Dear Shane and Lex, is there a way to get a report that lists any computer with out-of-date software and the software on each computer that is out of date? Sincerely, BRAD-M.
ERAD.
BRAD. Well, it's great that Colby wrote this one already for me.
Oh, rock on. Thanks,
Yeah.
folks.
So here's how you define the port. Columns, we want computer, member of collection, filters. Now, the thing about it is old. We're looking for collections that contain the word old in it. So if you build any of your own custom dynamic collections that keep track of your software,
Notice he
make
said
sure-
dynamic, not damn it.
Did I say-
Enunciate.
Enunciate?
It almost sounded like he said any of your own dynamic collections. Any collection
said.
that has the word that basically has
Old. So
in
if,
parentheses.
if you're maintaining your own collections, make sure you put the word old in, and it will work in this case. And we'll run this, and we'll notice that these are all the
Yeah, so Allen
application on
Allen
Allen
Rails
Rails that
has
have
an old Chrome, it has an old Java 8, et cetera, et cetera.
So that's how you do that. And again, the definition on that. The filter is a big thing here. Member of collection name contains old.
And if you look at our collection library, that's kind of the flag that we'll throw on an old. So if going back to Chrome, these are the computers that have the Chrome latest, Chrome that's not installed, and Chrome old. So these are the ones that are old. So we
Kinda
could
stick
actually
with-
update these.
True, they should be eventually updated, but stick with the naming convention, and that should work for you, that kind of report.
Rock on. Next question.
I'm warming my hands for the next one.
Why are you cold?
Dear Shane and Lex, why is the auto package for Chrome set up to disable manual updates, and can that be changed? We have an environment in which we'd like to have the flexibility of the updates being done via deploy as well as manually. Thanks, the lovely and talented Kate L.
What you're going to want to do. So this is the fact that we disable has come from overwhelming requests. Number one, Chrome can be managed from group policy. They have their ADMX files that are out there. Every version of Chrome, you can go and grab the latest ADMX files, import them into Active Directory, and you can control the auto update at that point. The overwhelming request we've had for years is that we want this disabled so that we as in the system administrators are in control of the version. So kind of that we're going with definitely the clear majority here that they don't want computers just auto updating because as a system administrator I have to manage these computers and I want to know that there's a set level of application versions. If you're okay with that, then what you're going to need to do is convert that to a standard package.
You know what you could do?
Go ahead.
That's one way to do it. The other thing, we can add a post step. And what I did was copied the disable auto update.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to paste it in. And unfortunately, I don't know what I believe.
It's 1.
Right there is a 1, right? So you change that to 1. So it's kind of redundant. You know, you're going to disable it, and then the last step will be re-enabling it. But at this point, you will still get your auto updates, and it will set them back to.
So here we've got a reg.
Or you get your auto downloads, and then
Here
it
we've got
resets to auto update.
reg add to say make that value a 0, which is false, obviously. And then here, name your step. Re-enable, and this way you can still use the
Auto downloads.
auto downloads. This still won't work on the agent, which, by the way, we put the agent back in beta. It's just too many problems. But by doing this, you don't have to convert it to a. Thank you for bringing that up. You don't have to convert it to a standard package. You can just do a post step to re-enable that. But it is recommended that. It is recommended, or I'm not recommended. You do whatever you need to do. The vast majority of our customers have said we want that disabled. Now, by the way, Chrome's internal engine now will only allow it to be disabled for a certain amount of time. I don't think it's based on version.
Really?
Yeah, they changed this a couple years ago, so that if an older version of Chrome checks in, even if it's set to disable, if it sees that it has an internet connection that it's really old, it will auto update.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
this will only work for several versions or iterations.
Dear Shane and Lex, is it possible to inventory which ciphers are allowed on the computer? Thanks, Paul Y.
Kelly, do you remember that movie? They showed it at least in Utah and Idaho in
Cipher
school.
in the Snow.
Yeah, the cipher in the snow.
Oh,
Such
yeah.
a sad. They would show that to kids, and we would just walk away so sad. The cipher, I guess. Yeah.
I never saw
back,
it.
It was like
Obviously.
in the '60s or something.
Yeah.
A cipher. At least it was a term that was used back then. The vernacular was a person that really had no contact, no friends, no anybody. And there was a kid that just got off the bus and died of ostensibly a broken heart, or at least that was the message they wanted to convey.
And he fell
So,
down in the
which
snow
ciphers?
and just
We don't know.
died.
We don't allow lonely people on our computers. All right. So I think you're reading something else. You're talking about encryption ciphers. Colby, did you?
Yeah, this is definitely
Do you want to say anything here?
From what I can tell, the way that you manage the cipher suite order and the allowed cipher suites is through group policy. There is technically a registry key, but Microsoft says, like, don't touch this.
don't mess.
When they say don't touch it, do they mean don't edit it or don't read it?
Don't edit it.
Okay.
Okay, so I just popped up. Colby sent me this yesterday. Popped up website or the link to, look at your ciphering, and then also right here, that would be a registry key we could go look for. And did you have a chance to run this? I mean, are we going to get data unless they change it, or is it?
So when I looked at that on my system, it was empty. So my assumption is there will only be data there if you have changed it.
And Microsoft states don't change it.
Yeah. Don't change it from the registry.
From the registry, yeah.
Use group policy.
Oh, okay. Well, if you have used group policy to modify it, then you can use a registry scanner. We have videos out there for that where you can scan parts of your registry and have those reported per computer in your that are in inventory. I think there's also, although I haven't tested it, there's a commandlet in PowerShell. You would have to.
Oh, that's
this
right,
isn't available with inventory as far as using an inventory scanner yet, but you would be able to use like a remote command. If that, I think it's a get TLS cipher suite or something like that. If that might return what you're looking for, but that would be on a
Case by case basis.
yeah, like you run a remote command to see that. It would be harder to inventory.
Yeah.
We are considering putting out a PowerShell scanner.
That would be cool.
The PowerShell scanner, if we do it, is going to be, it's the ability, basically, if you can write or you're willing to write some PowerShell scripts, you can grab information and then have that recorded.
data
Yeah,
from it.
it's similar to the WMIN registry.
Oh, okay.
It's mapped to
That'll
each
be
computer.
Awesome.
But that's no guarantee. I'm aware of a command like that.
Hey, Shane and Lex, occasionally a computer on the local network is detected as external even though the computer is pingable by its hostname. Is there a way to force the agent status to internal? Sincerely, J to the B to the C.
I have something I want to add, but Colby, is there anything, you're far more well-versed in agent behavior or misbehavior. Is there anything you'd like to add?
We've had many agents with many problems with the poor agent, but On a theoretical level, how it's supposed to work is if the agent can reach your PDQ inventory server on the port that you have defined, TCP 7337 by default, then it will be internal. If it is not able to reach your server, but it is able to reach our public API, then it will be external.
In that case, you might want to check your Windows firewall settings on the PC level, because that may be blocking that.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say. Is there a way to force it? I mean, you can always go into inventory and force the change, but if external is set because the agent said I can't find the PDQ server, the next time it does a check, it's just going to overwrite what you've changed. So it really, if it is internal, you're going to want to do some troubleshooting on your network to make sure that that computer is able to see your PDQ server.
Check that firewall setting and run a heartbeat on it.
And you can also run a PowerShell command from the target to see if it is able to connect to the server. I think it's a test net connection or something like that, and you can specify the port. It'll make sure that you can ping it by its host name and that you can actually reach that TCP port.
Right.
So go ahead and try
by
that.
default, you can change this, but by default that port is 7337.
Yep.
Try to use palindromes for that. That was Colby's suggestion.
Dear Shane and Lex, can PDQ be used to deploy Smartboard software? Not working currently. Started getting several access denied to Computer Service Manager on computers that were working. First time it showed incorrect user password. When run again, I got the access denied to Service Manager. Sincerely, ITA.
ITA. I think Kelly's ready for the final
problem.
version of it to come out. In
ITA real
October.
problem.
So Pennywise.
All right, so that error it's an interesting error, and it tells me actually, and I'm not sure what Smartboard software you're talking about, but it could be the way thank you for adding those quotes on the errors you're getting. It could be a symptom of something that's not with deploying that Smartboard software, but with the target computer. So obviously, if you ever get the access is denied to a computer service manager during a deployment, for example, that means that whatever your deploy user is does have administrative rights on that target because it passed the first test. Otherwise, you just get an error 5. But that service manager means that you've made a connection to that server and it says, oh, I recognize
Lex has got
Lex
access.
at adminarsenal.net or whatever your domain that you use is. But then it tries to authenticate when we create a service. Tries to authenticate and says, oh no, I can't start this. So there's usually a DNS problem. This is what we've seen where I can connect, but when that target goes out to try to authenticate to create a service, that's where that service manager comes. If you've seen that, that's very frustrating. I understand because you're like, hey, I know I'm an administrator. I've been able to connect to that computer's admin dollar share, meaning I am an administrator. Check your DNS. What you often in your credentials, I'm going to show over here. I'm just going to use, let's see, here we go, credentials. I'm going to use PDQ. So let's say we've got web.pdq.com/Quintana. It could be that while you can connect to that target computer using these credentials, you might actually need to create a new set of credentials where you just use web. So add credentials and you use the short name, or if you've got the short name, you use the long name. Mm-hmm. So web and then Quintana. And then put the password in there. And if that works by deploying with that user, then that means that there's a DNS issue that target computer is unable to resolve the long name or the short name. You just kind of have to mix it up. If it's long, go short, short, go long. And we've seen that succeed. Also, it pops up from now and then where your or your background service users. So this is the server, you're in PDQ server, background service. This is web.pdq.com Quintana. If this is not an administrator on your target computer, and you are using different deploy credentials, so like Lex, maybe the account Lex is an administrator, but Quintana is not, and that target computer has the Windows firewall disabled, you could get this error. The workaround there is, and we've not been able to do this programmatically, the workaround there is either make your background service like a domain admin, or enable the Windows firewall on that target. Those are the two. Does anybody
Most
have anything you want
common,
to add? Anybody? All right.
Those are the two most common, definitely.
Dear Shane and Lex, I know that Wake on LAN can be a finicky thing to set up anyway, but any advice on getting this set up with your Wake tool? Any additional setup in the tool needed, or should it be good to go, assuming we have our end set up correctly? Thanks, Matt Z.
Hey, Matt.
Wake on LAN, you got to have it set in BIOS. You got to have it set on the NIC on each machine. So
Really do.
there's a lot of, that's that end of it.
There's some external dependencies. What we're going to do now, we don't just send out a Wake on LAN broadcast. We kind of do it three ways. Number one, we'll send out a Wake on LAN broadcast, which most of you, if the target that you're trying to wake up is not on the same subnet as the PDQ server, your routers are going to block that broadcast. So then we also do a direct broadcast. So once again, every time you do a Wake on LAN, there's like three options, or not three options. There's three things that are happening under the hood. Broadcast usually will be filtered out. Second one is a directed broadcast. This is where you can talk to your network team and say, hey, will you please allow broadcasts just from this IP address? That IP address would be your PDQ server. And that way they can prevent broadcast storms. That's a great way around it. And the next way, if the your network team or the Mother May I that you do doesn't work there, then we will try after that second attempt, once again, all under the hood, we will attempt to find a computer on that local subnet that has PDQ, the PDQ that's in inventory, that PDQ knows about. So if we see this is an online computer, the last time it was scanned, it was on this subnet, we will basically send an instruction to that computer to then send out a Wake on LAN, and that broadcast will wake up the computer on that subnet. So there's still the external dependencies, as Lex mentioned, the NIC and BIOS. You need to have those set.
Yep.
Otherwise, we don't have a way of doing that. That would be a really hard one to tackle, unfortunately.
Dear Shane and Lex, is there a way to inventory Chrome extensions? And we have a similar question in the queue. Is there a way to deploy browser extensions? Thanks, Tiffany G.
Hey, Tiffany.
Hey, Tiffany. I've got one thing to say. It's probably not going to be that's satisfying. But Colby, is there anything, or Lex, anything you guys want to add before I jump in?
I'm going to let you jump in because I'm going to say the same thing you're going to say.
Yeah, so extensions are generally per user. So at that point, there's some limitations. You can, if you deploy an extension, I'm not sure how to do it. I've heard people have success. You're going to have to run this deploy package set to run whatever that step is, or the package run as logged on user. Usually that step, and then if that user is logged on, it will add whatever you're doing in the context of that user. So it's going to go into that user's current registry Hive. It's going to go into that user's like app data, stuff like that. But to read that, no, because our registry scanner doesn't read user information. Yeah. I mean, you could look. You could scan the HKey users, and maybe it would show up in there, even if it's not loaded. But I haven't tested that.
I'm just going to go with the right tool for the right job. PDQ does so many. Yeah, I would go GPO on that, just because you can set it at the user level on that. So
yeah, there's like I'd mentioned earlier. There's it's not Google. It's the Chrome team. They provide ADMX files that you can import into Active Directory, and then you can really customize, disable, enable, add whatever your extensions. There's a lot of behavior you can do, and the cool thing is you can do it at the system level as well as the user level, and some of these things are user level only.
Now, as for like getting that stuff in inventory, again, the scan, you may be able to find something with WMI, maybe.
But if you do WMI, it's going to be user context. So once that user logs out, it's a good chance if that scan happens, all of a sudden it's going to show that it's gone.
Yeah, that's a good point. So,
sorry,
Colby, any thoughts?
You might be able to get that from PowerShell, and if we ever have the PowerShell scanner, that would probably allow you to do the inventorying. And then as far as managing and like deploying them and whatnot, I linked Briggs' blog in the bonus content and the chat.
Excellent.
Oh, sweet. Thank you, Brig, and thank you, Hope. Next question.
Dear Shane and Lex, could you explain the process if we have conflicting schedules, e.g. Windows updates start at 1 a.m. on a bunch of computers, then a reboot is scheduled at 2 a.m. that includes some of those computers that are still running the first task? Sincerely, Bruno, I am smiling, L.
If you're talking about schedules that are all contained within PDQ deploy, then if you say I want 3 packages kicked off at 1 a.m. and there happens to be a computer that applies to all 3 of those, PDQ deploy will know, oh, this is getting this particular deployment. It's going to put that computer to queued state until that deployment finishes and pick up. When you start talking about external processes like the Windows update, we don't interact with that in that we don't know that it's about ready to do a reboot or anything like that. So the best thing is just if you've got your Windows Update server set to apply at 1 and reboot at 2.
The good thing about the conflicting schedules in this question is that Windows Update's going to be running, so that reboot's going to queue after it, according to the question here, I think.
Yeah, but he's saying if you have conflicting PDQ schedules, I would say run your schedules before, well before the 1 a.m. or after the 2 a.m. reboot.
Yeah.
That's you're going to have to apply some. Hey, I know my my WSUS server is going to apply these and reboot at 2 or something. Then do it before or after. Probably before, because if you have a package that's going to require a reboot, free at no extra charge, you've got one coming at 2. So maybe push those out at 10.
That's a good point, yeah.
Hey, Shane and Lex, is there a way to create a tool for starting Quick Assist similar to the existing tool for starting remote assistance in PDQ Inventory? Thanks, Tyler R.
I mean, use Quick Assist. But if there's a way, the answer to the question, and maybe, Colby, before I speak to you, is there something you want to say? You're making eye contact, so.
I looked it up real quick, and I was not able to find any command line options.
Oh, okay.
There might be, but if there aren't, then the answer is going to be no.
Yeah. If there's a command line option, like there is with Remote Assist or a lot of different remote control tools, then you can create a tool in PDQ Inventory. You just need to know that command line sequence, and then you create that tool to kick that off, and then you have access to that tool to just say run this command line, and it will open up the Remote Assist or whatever Quick Assist.
Oh, well, that was great. Yeah, you would
No, don't add a new one.
add a new one. That's what I want to look at right
There's
there.
a button right next to it.
Yeah, but see, I just wanted to point this out here. Here's the command line. There's the variable for the computer name. Grab those guys from right here.
Yeah, it's oftentimes you'll obviously need the computer name in there. When you say like computer target or computer target host name, target is the short name. That's the NetBIOS name. Target host name is the fully qualified name. Then it will say, hey, run this command against whatever computer is selected in inventory. So tools are probably the way to do it, but as Colby mentioned, if you can't find a command line for it, then
No
no.
can do.
Dear Shane and Lex, is there a way to exclude custom packages that are in schedules from attempting to deploy to external agents? Sincerely, ASBA.
No, not at this point. It's just going to fail. You basically, it's making it. You can make an attempt in your if you're using when you're deploying
you could exclude.
collections. You could say you could have a filter in that collection saying deploy to this, and if the agent status is external, then don't do it. Basically, so you need to attack that from a filter level using the agent status.
Yeah.
If it's not external, then go for it.
Dear Shane and Lex, what's the smartest way to separate servers and workstations in inventory so your deployments don't hit servers? So to still have the overview of applications like Office, Java, Adobe on servers. Sincerely, Casper S.
Okay, so I'm seeing inventory and deployment. So what's the smartest way to separate servers and workstations in inventory so your deployments don't hit servers? Well, out of the box, not only in the collection library, but just kind of out of the box over here in the collection library, we've got workstations and server collections that are built in there. So you could just target your deployments to only go to anything that's in the workstations or below collection.
Absolutely. Now, at the package level, you can also say, we're never ever going to deploy Chrome to anything that's a server and take the condition out.
At the package level, that's a great way of doing it. That is limited to, obviously, you're going to have to do that to all those packages you don't want.
Yep.
Now, there's also a way, if you don't ever want to deploy to servers.
That's right. Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this one?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so you can go to Preferences, and in the target filters, there's an exclusions and inclusions. It depends on how you have these broken down. If all your servers have a flag in there, like in the name, like SVR or server or something like that, then you can just, let's say that any of your servers all begin with SVR, you could just say exclude SVR splat.
The other way you could do it is if all your servers sit on a separate subnet.
You could supply the subnet there.
There you go.
Yeah. By this way, anything that begins with SVR, no matter what it's afterwards, it will not deploy to that. The problem is if you ever do want to deploy to a server, you're going to actually have to go in here and remove that and then do your deployments. But this is a way of attacking that one if you just want the last fail safe. Last question.
Yeah, our final question of the day, is there a way to exclude computers that are part of a dynamic collection from another dynamic collection? Sincerely, William Z.
Yes. You want to go open up inventory?
Nope. Just kidding.
You want to just describe it to them?
We'll just describe it. We won't show it. This is a radio show. No?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of dynamic collections here. For example, servers. So we could just say, let's create a new dynamic collection, like all non-servers. And here we could just say, you'd actually in this case you just have to have. Well, let's just be fun. All non-servers, or we can say Chrome, but no servers. Right?
Yep.
All right. So this is Chrome no servers. So we're going to change this first filter to application name contains Google Chrome. But you don't want servers in there. You could just say
you go after the server OS, but if you're going after collection, to answer your question, we'll go over here to computer, go up to collection. There we are. Collection. Instead of is member, is not member, and then choose. There's a little ellipsis there. Choose your servers or whatever collection you want to exclude at this point.
So here we're saying all. Notice this all right there. All computers must have Chrome, but they cannot be a member of this collection. And that way, and don't get hung up on servers. Maybe it's a dynamic collection you have for a department or for another application. As long as you say it's not a member of, then
that collection,
if it has Chrome and it's not a member of that collection, it will get the deployment. All right. That was all the questions, or that was all that we have time for?
That was all the questions.
Wow.
Oh, rock on. Well, thanks, you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and or tuning in. I guess we're not in radio anymore. Thanks for selecting us.
Double click. Yeah.
Rock on, everybody. Thanks once again. PDQ Agent is. Check out the latest blog, the PDQ Agent. We've put that. It's in beta. There's just our infrastructure is just too difficult to handle all people who are trying to put Agent on every single computer. It was just bringing their environment down. Use Agent very sparingly. Use it for testing. You saw our development team earlier in the pre-show. They are here to solve that as well as many other issues. But for right now, tread lightly when it comes to the Agent. And thank you very much for your feedback. I'm Shane.
I'm Lex. PDQ.com. Catch y'all later.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, Casper S. and Tyler R. Winners of PDQ swag. Send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. Thanks again for joining us. If you have further questions, feel free to reach out to our support forums. And we'll see you back here next week.